So what I sensed from you all is that you had been really listening and laughing a lot, but it was also a little bit a laugh of horror here and there, right? When Aral was exposing all these things that he was. And I think if you've been at Open-Xchange summits before, I think it's our sixth one or so, I don't quite remember. You've heard this topic before. In 2008 and 9, my headliner was Command Your Data, and had Commander Data from Star Trek sort of as my poster child for that. So this thing has been driving us for quite some time, but a lot of things have happened. Other than Aral, I do love the term open, as you can imagine, as an open source company with all the things that we have been doing. But of course, Aral is correct. It has many meanings, and of course, it is being misused like free is, right? But we're trying to give a definition of open to you all that also makes sense to your business. So we've tried to capture that in a short video that I would like to start with now. It's only 35 seconds or so bear with me.
I'm interested in programming.
Share your ideas and make it the year that you get involved in shaping the web.
And then when the internet came out, it wasn't just your world, right? You could invite other people. It's up to you.
I like the bass, right? Now, what does stay open mean? You've probably seen us using this slogan, and I think it translates very well into what Aral was talking about and what it means for your business and what we're all here for, because we are in business, right? We have investors that own equity of us, or we have investors that want return on their investments in our company. So we have to do something that is a little different from what Aral is doing with Indy, and I find it great that he does that. But I think even more power to transforming what the internet is all about lies within the industry itself. Because most of you have been helping to build the internet itself. You are the backbone of the internet itself. You are running the internet. So these things that are being done by a few companies, as we've heard here before, are run on your internet that you should be owning. All of you that I know run a pretty honest business model, which is selling services and taking money for it. Right? So it's not a con. You're telling people what it is that you deliver if they give you your money. Right? You may be thinking occasionally, if you look at the success of the con guys, if you look at their P&L, and their profits and their margins and so forth, you may be tempted to think maybe you should change your business model because that pretty works well and nice. But the problem is these guys are monopolies. They are silos. And they own that place. It's very hard to break in with that same business model. If you want to be disruptive, you can't be playing the same game. Right? This is what Google perfectly understood. They totally changed the rules of the game in the telco industry, or Apple, by simply having a different business model. And now suddenly you can compete. So I guess we as an industry have to do the same thing. We have to rethink what the business model of these guys is, what's going on in the cloud, how that is transforming all the businesses, what it means for our businesses, for your businesses, and how we react to it with the business models that we go about, with the things that we do. The cloud, the internet, I use that sort of interchangeably. I rather like the term internet, but that's sort of getting old now. The cloud is probably getting old too, but you know what I mean. All the services that run across the internet, has been disrupting almost all businesses. For the first time probably on an Open-Xchange summit, we now have people here in the room that are not from the industry at all. They do other stuff, where you would say, okay, here's one that builds microscopes, Zeiss from Germany. You know them. If you're into high-end optics, you know them. Of course, they are thinking about what their cloud strategy is. They have to. Of course, they're thinking that maybe Google is a threat to their business. Right? If you're into building devices that have a higher value when you network them, you probably want to own that networking. You want to own that cloud service that you build around it. But if other guys sneak in and you see what Google and Apple and these guys are doing with health information, for example, if you are in anything healthcare or manufacturing any health type device, if you're into blood pressure devices or what have you, you can be the next Garmin, right? Or so. What about GPS watches after Apple Watch, right? You don't want to be in that business. What about navigation systems after the launch of Google Maps on your mobile phone? You don't want to be in the navigation business. So every industry is more or less threatened by the business model of these guys, because they can, with their disruptive business model, they can disrupt any business and start owning and controlling that business. Growing, feeding in more data to the plant, we saw that before, and thus more or less commoditizing all the rest. Now, if you're a telco, you're worried about being commoditized to just a network provider, a dumb cable, and eventually maybe even your cable is not needed anymore when new technologies come up, Google Fiber, right? Why is Google building Google Fiber? Because you log in with your Google ID before you start using the internet. So all your internet traffic will be associated with you and fed into the Google data center, right? And of course, they can disrupt your business because they derive value from the data that they're getting. So they can take down Google Fiber 1 terabit from 99 to 69 to 49 to 29 to 0, to even paying you if they need to. How are you going to compete with that if you're a dumb cable, a dumb pipe? Not, right? Not at all. So this disruption goes through everything. And if we're not clever, we won't be around in a couple of years from now. And this is one meaning of stay open, right? We've got to do something to stay open as a business, to stay open as an industry. Because all this industry, if really those 4 silos win, there will be no industry, right? Because it's not a partner-friendly business. I mean, try making money reselling Apple hardware, right? Or reselling Google apps. Again, good luck. Some are trying, but it's not a good business model. Office 365, Microsoft was not on there. Well, why was Microsoft not on there? They look nice now compared to the other guys, right? This is why Microsoft was not on there. And actually, Microsoft is doing some open stuff and so forth, so they have to sort of decide whether they want to move, become a Jedi or, a Sith. They don't know yet, right? They're figuring this out. Of course, there's a lot of opportunity in this threat because we see people waking up to the stuff that you heard Aral talking about. The more you talk to people, and it's maybe not the consumer, maybe not my son and daughter, 14 and 18, they don't care, right? But eventually they will, because eventually they will understand the importance of that data trail that they're creating, and they may be reminded in a very brutal way that they should have been taking a little more care with those pictures from that party back then, right, that they posted somewhere. But businesses are, of course, thinking through that already now. And that is a huge opportunity, because I do believe that, given what we heard from Snowden, given that this is constantly in the press and we always hear news stories, so we always get reminded that this is going on. Just recently, you saw, more Snowden revelations about Deutsche Telekom and NetCologne, right, Christian? Christian is from NetCologne, so he's directly impacted. You probably saw that video from the satellite guys. What's their name again? Stella. It's a customer of NetCologne. A reporter from Spiegel, Der Spiegel, showed them the documentation that they had from Snowden, right? And they were going blank because their names were on there, their whole internal infrastructure, with IP addresses of the servers, passwords, everything was exposed, was known to the British in this case. That's a little scary. And why that? Because Stella provides internet services through satellite. Who's using that? People in the desert, right? Where do all the drones fly from the US, right? Pakistan desert, Afghanistan desert. So sort of full circle, these guys are, of course, very interested in that information, and that information is directly being used. So, if you think that through, you go like, this is scary, but I'm not in Pakistan and not running through the desert, I don't care. But obviously, for businesses to begin with, I don't think it's an option really to play in that environment anymore. So what we're seeing, and that's part of the business that we're doing, is we see businesses growing up to the cloud, saying we probably need something like a cloud 3.0, because we're now cloud or internet 2.0, right? And that's dominated by these guys. We probably have to take back control and create something private, in the same meaning that Aral said. It's the cozy kids chatting thing, but it's the same as absolutely true for businesses. Right? Businesses need control over where the boundaries of the business are and what leaves those boundaries and what stays within. And especially businesses that have sort of the obligation to take care of that. They're probably the ones beginning with that. There are laws about what you can do with data and how you should care about data. If you're the CEO of a company in Germany, you're personally liable for no data of your employees, personal data of your employees, to leak to the outside. You go to jail if you screw up. So now saying, okay, I run my company on Gmail, I got 1 foot in jail because I'm sending around, employment contracts via email. Not a good idea. I'm storing them on G Drive. Not a good idea, right? So, if I think that through as a CEO of a company and I'm, educated enough to understand the problem to begin with, I'm thinking about procuring services that work for my company. And this is where a lot of business lies for all of us. If I, feel that actually this should be done not only for this one company CEO that woke up to the problem, if I am a government, I should probably make sure that people understand what the problem is and maybe create some laws around this. We have laws, actually. Even if the governments would be saying, you have to adhere to the laws of this country, right? A lot of things wouldn't be going on. But we see governments sort of giving up on trying to enforce this. I mean, you hear Germans yelling a lot, about Google and you can't do this, and Facebook and Street View and, privacy and take off this link and this type of stuff. In a way, you could say, oh, the Germans, they're overdoing it a little bit. Of course, we do have a history of being spied upon. Remember, not too long ago, we had 2 Germanys, and East Germany still had something like the Gestapo from the Nazi times, right, which was still doing the spying on their people, called the Stasi. So we had, a surveillance state, in an Orwellian meaning. Of course, now that makes us a little more, let's say, thinking about the problems that come from a surveillance state. And of course, we do have surveillance states. The NSA is probably not the biggest problem. It's the companies that do the surveillance and that make it so easy for the NSAs of this world to spy upon us. So when you hear Germany weeping, it's really from that background. We've been there before. We don't want this to happen again. So governments can, of course, create an awareness of that by saying, hello, we have these laws, and just remember, if you're doing this and that, right, you're not compliant with law. So, dear companies, of course, the government maybe should start with itself. All government, near government, education, healthcare, what have you, all of them have very, very sensitive data, right? And if they would start just using, sort of Cloud 3.0 solutions that, are to be trusted, honest services, it would be a pretty good start. And we all would be rich just from that, right? If we just convert all governments to trustable systems, it's a huge business already. And we see that happening. I mean, we just closed a deal very recently, which is the Association of Lawyers of a country. And they realized that even though there was a subsidized service that everybody had to use, nobody was using it because the service itself had a bad user experience. Like Aral said, it just sucked. So nobody used it. So what did everybody do? What did all the lawyers do? Use Gmail, because Gmail is great, right? Gmail is wonderful. Oh, and it is free. How great is that? So the association became aware of that and said, oops, not so great. We're the lawyers of this country, right? We can't really do this. There is laws, and especially for lawyers, who have to change something. So they decided to build a private cloud, an honest service that they sell to the lawyers. Right? And we got the business together with a partner in that country, and that is wonderful for both of us. For the partner, a telco in this case, and for us because it's business. And it's very honest because the data is owned by the lawyers. Very simple. Now, of course, to be able to do that, again, what Aral said I think is important. You need to be competitive in the user experience. The design needs to be great. People must love using these things. Just being open or just being free software or so doesn't do it. You saw Aral, going about on Firefox OS, which is the browser-based mobile OS. He's totally right. It's just a terrible experience. So if we force people this stuff down their throats, we will get a lot of noise and a big pushback on these things. And we're seeing these government projects. Here in the city of Munich is a very famous open source project called Linux. And I've been, I'm a SUSE guy, so my background is, hardcore open source, free software to every desktop and what have you. But if you look at what the poor government workers are getting as a desktop, and that is not because open software is bad on the desktop, it's because the way they go about this project, it creates so slow cycles, and it forces the manufacturers to support, ancient hardware And it's an old client-server model that they operate under. So I'm saying, guys, wake up. We're in the cloud age, right? We can ship software much more easily, and we really only care about the browser that you're using. Hardware doesn't matter. You can use any device, but just put your stuff in a browser, buy a trustable service, build your private cloud, put it all sort of into the data center and run it from there, and stop this client-server wars, because this is really from the 90s, the fight that you're fighting here. So even the ones providing that IT-type solutions need to rethink from the old enterprise world into the new cloud world. And again, huge opportunity, because the cloud business has been started by us internet providers, telcos, and so forth, as a mass market kind of thing. So the price per ticket is relatively low, but you get a lot, right? Now, you all have that experience on how to build these types of solutions, and I tell you what, the lawyers thing is great, because they are not that price sensitive, as you can imagine. Once they got it that a free service is really bad, right? Because of what Aral said. They get it. They are not price sensitive anymore. They say, this is what it's got to be, So it's got to be mine. I need to own it. Data must be trustable. And here's the functions that I need. And it must be great user experience, well usable in all the devices that I have. And if you can go check, suddenly your revenue per user goes from pennies to dollars. And of course, that's a great business. It's not millions of lawyers yet in this country, right? It's not the US. Just imagine this deal in the US, right? How wonderful would that be? The land of lawyers. But the price tag per lawyer is so high compared to what you achieve on the lower end of the market, on the mass market, that it's a very attractive business. And you guys might be starting to think about this. Of course, you need to be able to provide solutions, right? So you have to sort of be able to understand what these guys need. They need also go-to-market help. You need first and second level support for this special type of customer in this case. You are manufacturing a system that is more adapted to their needs. So it's not like a plain vanilla horizontal same for everyone system. It's a little specialized, although 99% of it is, of course, based on AppSuite, on our stuff, and all the components that we've added to the system, but still there's 1% of customization attached to it. So you must be capable of doing these things. But then you can create a very, very profitable business around this. So we're moving from mass market consumer type or small business type solutions into enterprise business, at the same time transforming enterprise business from the good old client-server times into the cloud age. And the driver for that is what Aral has been talking about, because what we have now cannot be trusted. And people totally get that. We have to talk more about this. This is why Open-Xchange Summit is always a lot about this topic, right? You may go on like, they should really change the topic. It's, again, this data ownership kind of thing. I think it is critical, because either this transformation happens, and we're all going to be in business, a much better business than today, or we'll all be gone, right? This is why we repeat and repeat and repeat. And I repeat that now for the 6th year in a row, right? It's kind of coming about now. I mean, Snowden stuff really helps quite a bit, helps us all to get the message out. But now I think we have to come full circle and put out the offerings. Give people a great experience in a solution that they can trust. And you can do this now. The technology is here. I mean, Open-Xchange Summit is about sharing what's here, what we have. We have 21 wonderful partners here in the room. Not only do they pay part of the bill, and thank you for that all, that's wonderful, but they have wonderful products that work together very nicely. So you can sort of a la carte pick and choose and make them click together for a solution that you put to market, either in a vertical niche like the one I mentioned before, and there's thousands and thousands of these niches. Lawyers is just one example. Hollywood production studios is another example that we have. That's fun, because you go to Beverly Hills when you visit the customer, right? That's not so bad. And many, many more examples that we can't even talk about that are going on. So just think, what you have to bring to the table for a certain vertical, and just do it, because the market is there. People are listening, and you can, become the #1 player in the niches that you choose. And they're huge. I mean, when I say niche, I mean how many lawyers in the world, right? Hollywood production studios, not so many. That's probably a bit more special. But no matter what you think about healthcare, government, education, normal enterprises of whatever kind, this is where the money is. And doing that, you do something against sort of the dystopian future that we saw today. Pretty much along the same lines of what Aral was talking about, just with different means. You know, I totally envy Aral of being venture capital free, and some of the guys here don't want to hear that, I know that. But you know what, to build a company like Open-Xchange, you need venture capital. You know, for me to scale out very quickly as a company, there's no way I can do that organically, because the market is moving so quickly. So thank you, dear venture capitalists, that you gave me that money to do that. So now we have to play by those rules, but this is just building a normal business like we all do. When you all have a P&L, right? You all have investors somewhere, maybe some not. Maybe you are the owner, you have 100% of the shares, and you go like, not me, right? But I guess 99% in this room have some type of relationship with an owner that tells you to build a sound business. And it all boils down to money at the very end. And I believe it's very easy to do that because the market is coming forward towards you. And now, if you create the products in time, you will be selling this like hotcake, because we've only seen the start of people becoming aware of what's going on. Now, use the time that you're here to network with everyone, to look at the booths of the people, of the products that you have, because like I said, we've come a long way. When I remember, I mean, Open-Xchange in 2007, February 2007, Oliver, we launched at 1&1, right? That is 7 years ago. Right? More than 7.5 years ago. The product was wonderful, but if I look at it now, I go like, okay, it needed some time, let's put it this way, right? In the meantime, we've launched the second generation called App Suite, and that's a great product, right? Responsive design, runs on all devices and so forth. We've added applications to it to complete the desktop stack. You've probably noticed that this conference is about a specific product. We launched OX Guard, the content encryption, a couple of weeks ago. OX Messenger is just one more application in the applications suite that we are providing to you, but it will be very much completing the desktop functionality that you get from us. And you see with the hard work of a couple of Dutch guys like Roland, right, who does the real work, and he has his bosses doing the other stuff, the networking, I guess that is called, right? We will be showing you a lot of that, so go to the sessions. Both Stein and Koen will be doing their stuff, business and technology. Come to our booth to look at what this is like. We'll be discussing today when we launch this. We don't know yet. Maybe we find the sound in the meantime, right? And then we're closer to doing this. Just imagine what you're getting now compared to 2007. We've put all the desktop applications that are important. Everything that you had on your Windows desktop in the past is now inside the browser, waiting for you to enhance the experience and mesh it up to something special to you. And of course, you need all the desktop apps no matter what you do. So if you build your cloud for your specific vertical, your cloud for whatever you want to do, I think we're giving you all the tools you need to do that in a quality that even Aral would use, I hope. Right? We'll be trying that today. We've put a lot of effort into usability everywhere. That is tough, because people are a little spoiled these days. When you think of iPhone and these things, Apple has done a terrific job of convincing us to use these tools because it is so pleasant to do that. Right? And we got to be at the same level or even better when we provide solutions, because this is where we're competing. Because most people don't care much about what we heard of today, but we got to protect them from these things. And if some companies decide for that, or telcos for their consumer solutions or so decide for our solutions, it needs to be a great experience, right? When Ziggo decided to switch over to App Suite, of course they were worried about what the rollout would mean of the new system, right, Paul? But when the system was rolled out, it was actually a pleasant experience, right? Because people said, oops, that's a change for the better. Change is always bad to begin with, right? People go like, oops, what's happened? I want my same thing back, right? But eventually they figure what they can do with the system has improved so much over what they had before that they're happy with that. So keep that in mind when you build these solutions. You see partner solutions like the CRM extension from Digitech that is shown in an earlier release here. People using Open-Xchange App Suite as a platform for building applications themselves that integrate into the core components of it. And of course, using the same design style, responsive design, and all that. So now just think of a CRM extension, inside App Suite. How wonderful is that? And many, many more. You'll see those, walking the floor today. So that gets me to the logistics. We have a party tonight, musical show, right, Claudia? Check. We have a wonderful DJ. Actually, I was trying to patch the DJ in too, but he's not woken up yet, right?
Do you hear me, Rafael?
Okay, no, we don't want to invade his privacy. Can you hear us now, guys?
I think
Ah.
I found my voice.
Oh, VoiceWorks found the voice. Stijn, great, well done. So we're getting closer to launch then with this, right? Now that we can.
We have audio now and video, so we're approaching launch.
That sounds great. Yeah, I have a few ideas though. You know, I want group video because I want to talk to many people at the same time.
I see what I can do, but I cannot promise it.
Okay. Tonight maybe, is that okay?
Let's see. Maybe we need less distraction then, but we will try.
Okay, I take care about that, no problem. All right, thanks guys. Give a hand to VoiceWorks.
Thank you.
We're very excited about this. It's been a long road. We were all very excited a year ago, and we thought we were going to launch this in 2 weeks. As always, right now it's 12 months, but we're probably going to launch eventually. And I know you like it because it will just add another component to what you can put out to market in an honest and serious way. What else? We have, DJ Mashup coming tonight, who's the guy that brought us all to the dance floor in Hamburg. So I don't think there will be anyone not dancing once Mashup gets on stage. This will be around 9 or so. You will probably remind us later on, Claudia, will you, what that is? And in the meantime, please talk to each other. We have very interesting people in this crowd. You just have to find them. And the only way to do that is to talk to everyone. You have people from far away as Japan coming over here. Thank you for that. From the US, from many European countries. We have about 400 people here, which is quite a bit, and it's the core of the industry. I mean, you are the guys, driving this industry and innovating this industry for us all to stay open in your business. So let's go about this and use the time of the summit. Thank you very much.